ask all council members to silence and put away cell phones. If you need to conduct personal business during the meeting, please make a motion to recess. For those participating by phone, please keep your device muted unless speaking. When speaking, please remember to state your name for the benefit of those viewing the live streaming. As a reminder, this meeting is being broadcast live. The camera is located above the clock at the back of the council chambers. Our proceedings follow Robert's Rules of Order in accordance with Wasilla Municipal Code 2.04.090. To promote an orderly and respectful meeting, I respectfully ask the council to observe the following rules. Please seek recognition before speaking. No member may speak more than twice on the same motion without a vote to suspend the rules. No member may speak a second time until all who wish to speak have done so. These guidelines help ensure fairness, efficiency, and mutual respect in our discussions. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Cottle?
Here.
Councilmember Graham?
Here.
Councilmember Schmidt?
Here.
Councilmember Crafton, are you online?
Here.
Thank you. Councilmember Velock?
Here.
Councilmember Rubio, are you online?
Here.
Thank you. You have a quorum, Madam Mayor. All council members are with us. Cottle, Graham, Schmidt, and Velock are present in chambers. Crafton and Rubio are telephonic. We do expect Attorney Wells to call in at about 6:30.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Cottle, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Please stand.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We are now, the first item of business is approval of the agenda. And before changes are discussed, are there conflicts of interest to declare? Hearing none, are there changes to the agenda? I have one change. I'd like to move Resolution 25-21 to new business. Mr. Graham.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to move resolution serial 2525 to new business, which is item 8.3.5.
Okay, are there any other changes? Hearing none, the agenda is adopted as changed. There are no special orders of the day. We are now at commission and agency reports. We'll now hear from Recreational Services Director Bell on the Parks and Rec Commission.
Scott Bell, Recreational Services Director. Wasilla Parks and Recreation Commission had a meeting July 9th. I was not in attendance, so I'll recap just a couple of the highlights. We updated the commission on what we think is a very, very, again, successful mayor's picnic with about 3,000 plus in attendance and about 2,800 hot dogs cooked and served up. They did discuss IM 2510 regarding Nunley Park, so that has come to the commission and reviewing the plans, and so they were kind of beginning their feedback on that. Jesse Griffith, the maintenance supervisor for buildings and parks, gave his report. He did highlight that vandalism apparently is a pretty big problem this year in the parks, and discussed some of the funding that came from the CIP process. For example, Wonderland Park Playground. Matsu Softball Association did come in attendance, and we're discussing some of the new ball field and the improvements and proposals that were going on. And the next meeting will be September 10th. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor.
Mr. Graham.
So, Mr. Bell, could you perhaps talk to what's going on with the, between you and Eric, what's going on with the porta potties at the lake over there? I mean, I thought we were getting that vault fixed over there. And then I see the porta potties are still in place. Is that, are they additional, Wasilla Lake Park there? Are they additional service or are they the primary service?
Yeah, through the mayor. So the bathrooms still work. The porta potties are additional service. We have to lock them at night, so we wanted after hours services, but with this nice warm summer, the bathrooms themselves have been overwhelmed. As to your question about replacement, because of the alignment with the DOT right-of-way and the bathrooms, we're having to go back to the drawing board with DOT on where the new bathrooms will go. So we're trying to work through our relationship with the Parks Highway and the park before we pick a final spot for those new bathrooms.
Great, thank you both.
Okay, and next, we'll hear from Acting City Planner Nygaard on the Planning Commission.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to give you a quick update. On July 8th, the Planning Commission had a meeting. We discussed one of our tools, the Placer AI tool, on how we can identify traffic and trends and different things about our market. And we also were privileged enough to have our attorney to give a quick update on the prior evening's discussion at the special council meeting on Title 16. So she updated the Planning Commission on what had taken place during that conversation. We have an upcoming commission meeting on the 22nd of July. Thank you.
Okay. And now, we'll hear from ECI on the library addition project.
Hi there, Brian Meisner, architect and library planner with ECI. I did work on the original library. So starting with a little bit of history and what the project was about. A couple of months ago, we were asked by Public Works and the library to help them identify space needs to better serve the staff functions of the building. In 2015,
Speak a little closer to the mic so it's on the telephone can hear you. Thanks.
in 2015, when we started design of the library, the design was done with deliberate knowledge that we were focusing on people spaces and we were focusing on collection spaces. And with the limited budget at that time, the staff spaces were minimal. They were functional but minimal. What's happened since then and since the library opened was the circulation has far exceeded the projections made at that time. And the program delivery, meaning story hour and other things, has far exceeded what the projections were, which means additional staff has been brought on to meet those needs. And the current staff space can't efficiently allow them to function. So this project is looking at what minimal expansion would be needed on the library to meet those staff spaces that weren't constructed then that are needed now. And one of the driving factors is a desire to add basically a robot, a sorting machine similar to what Eagle River has in the Anchorage Library. So that when books are returned, they're going into this conveyor system for that first sort, and that helps to significantly improve staff efficiency. So that was one of the driving things. So in this aerial view of the library, the expansion that we're looking at is this kind of cyan color. And so it would expand outward from the existing staff area into the grassy area, leaving the sidewalk intact, leaving the chiller intact, which is over here. And this expansion was planned for back at the original, as well as an expansion off to this side if needed, but it hasn't been needed yet. So as we look at what that looks like on the floor plan, these darker parts are the parts that are the expansion of that rectangle that you saw there. And then the lighter parts are, I would say, quite minor renovation of the existing space. So effectively, this doubles the amount of staff space, bringing it into line with what we would expect for a library of this size. And especially given the circulation numbers, the numbers of books that are being checked out and the number of library cards that are held. There's just a lot of work being done out of this space right now. The purple side is what's intended to house the new sorting machine. And when I show you the renderings, I can show you a little bit more of what that looks like. And then the cyan side, that is for staff. It about doubles the number of workstations, and it allows many of the functions like Mendery, sorting, mailing, interlibrary loan to have a dedicated space. Right now, they're shared space, which affects the efficiency of that space. And so it gives staff space to work. As you can see, it's still a lot of desks in here. There just is a lot of staff needed to function a library that's providing services at that level. In terms of what it would look like, the look doesn't change much. If you've been in there, this rendering looks a lot like what the desk is, but there are some minor changes that allow improved functionality. There's addition of a second doorway back into the staff area so that staff isn't just stuck with this one door, so that improves efficiency of them being able to work. And some of the existing casework, the shelving and cabinets, have been rearranged to better function with addition of a few. So it's planned to reuse everything that's there, but then add a few things that are missing to make it more efficient. And then from the exterior, it looks almost the same, and that's because this was always planned to expand this way when needed. And what's happened is the building's popped out, basically just take the wall that's there and pop it out by about 20 feet to allow this expansion to happen. And that can be done with keeping the existing canopy as is and with the existing sidewalk as is, and even use the same windows potentially in that location of the new wall. It does allow, though, for the book return to now be undercover. So you can see here's 2 book returns. Right now, if you're returning a book, it's not undercover the canopy, it's out in the weather. So those book returns would feed right to the new robot, which is in that room. And then that robot would do the initial sorting. There's a window here so you can see what's going on. And then here's just another more zoomed in view of what that's look like. So it's not a dramatic change to the look or feel of the library, but it does change that experience, and it will greatly improve staff efficiency. In terms of what this would cost, it's about a 2,200 square foot expansion with about 2,100 feet of minor renovation on the inside. And the projected cost, given where we are with tariffs right now, is $3 million. It would be better to probably state that in a range. If I saw it bidding today, I would probably expect it to be about 2.5 or 2.6 million. The Valley has very good contractors and subcontractors. It actually has the best bid climate in the entire state and potentially in the country right now. And we expect that to remain, but the tariffs have been hitting materials very hard. So 3 million is a conservative end of that number, which would include the anticipated hit of the tariffs which have been announced for August, plus normal escalation. So with that, I'll hand it over for questions and see what I can answer.
Mr. Graham?
Thank you, Brian, that's very informative there. So you say that this new expansion is going to be able to handle the traffic that we're currently having, the distribution level that we're currently having. Are you looking forward 5 years, 10 years, saying this should work for the next 5 or 10 years, or is this pretty much to meet immediate needs?
It's a bit of both, but it should give you the capacity for 10 to 20 more years. And I hedged that 10 to 20 because the growth that was anticipated 10 years old has been double what was anticipated in terms of circulation. And some of that's the impact of the Palmer Library being closed, but even before that was closed, the numbers had dramatically exceeded the projections. So it will meet future needs as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a clarifying question on something I thought I heard. Did you mention that this library was designed, or this section of the library was designed to house expansion like this?
Yes, we always thought that the potential for expansion would be needed for the staff and the service spaces, and so that's why so much space was left between the sidewalk and this, so that it could be expanded outward without having to redo all of the parking lot and the sidewalks.
Gotcha, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
We are now at public hearing. There's one ordinance scheduled for public hearing. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot Holly. Here she is. 15 minutes. Yeah.
Other items?
Yeah, can we do that? Okay, we are waiting for the attorney to get on at 6:30. So if we need a consensus, that we can change the agenda to accommodate the time for the attorney.
Madam Mayor, I move we amend the agenda to move forward at this time to the consent agenda, item 8.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
The motion has been made and seconded. Is there objection to the motion? Hearing
Madam Mayor, I
none?
don't necessarily object, I just have a question.
Okay,
Since we might move further on in the agenda for that, if the council is just willing to jump back to Title 16 when it comes time, because I might not be able to stay the entire meeting. I have the possibility I have to jump off. So if we can move back to Title 16 as soon as possible, that would be great.
we definitely will. Okay, is there
Thank you,
objection?
no objection.
Is there objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion passes. We can move on to persons to be heard. It's a time for members of the public to share their views with the council. Please note, this is not a question and answer period. Speakers may be referred to administration and items raised may be taken under advisement. We have, John Clapperidge is first.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Council, my name is John Clapperich, K-L-A-P-P-E-R-I-C-H, usually pronounced Clapperich, but it's pretty long, so we'll take whatever comes out. I did check the box, live outside the city of Wasilla, but I've been paying sales tax for 35 years, and my business collects sales tax for you as of several businesses that I represent that may live outside the city. So I constantly remind you to hopefully give us as much credence as somebody that lives in the city. We're a participating constituent. And with 3 minutes, I sometimes do not get the opportunity to say thank you. And as my written notice said, after I left public testimony a week ago tonight, I joined over a dozen business people, and we viewed and listened to the rest of the meeting till 9:30. And we would pause and talk, and there was many times we paused and said, too much detail, getting involved where you don't need to. But there was also times that we paused and we said, wow, thank you. Somebody mentioned, well, thinking as a business person, or to make it clear for business, let's make this amendment. So we clearly understand that removing Title 16, amending it, and hopefully removing the downtown overlay is a good step in the right direction. 350 pages to 150. And we wish it could go further. But we do want to say thank you for thinking like a business person. And it was brought up many times, do these council people know that the fire marshal demands this, and sanitation demands this, and DOT, and AMCO comes in, and we have all this immense regulation to comply with, and still try to break even before the city comes in and say, oh, a couple more things, small business person. We know you've got a tremendous amount of other places that you got to adhere to, but we want our thumb in your business a little too much. So my point is, I highly encourage you to repeal and move to amended Title 16, although there is still much there that we feel is overburdened, is too much involved with our ability to make a profit. And competition is huge. We talked about the pricing of the library. I mean, it's involved in all our businesses, and you can't just keep raising up a burger, you can't just raising up a price of a couch. So competition is high. Please do what you can to think as a small business person, amend and repeal Title 16 and remove the downtown overlay. Thank you.
And next is Senator David Wilson.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council members. My name is David Wilson, and I'm a city resident. And tonight I am wearing the hat of the president of the Sunrise Rotary Club. Just want to say thank you, Madam Mayor, and your staff here, and we'll thank Mr. Bell and his folks for putting on a wonderful 4th of July event. We had the honor with your assistance as well to serve just a few hot dogs here and there, and some potato salad and macaroni salad and coleslaw and chips and drinks and beverages, and it was a well-attended event, and just want to say thank you again for honoring and partnering with the city and putting on that wonderful event. So other than that, I'm just here to continue on with my other hats and monitoring, and I'll put on my other hat for the Public Policy Director of the Matsu Health Foundation. As you guys may have seen, we've put in for a certificate of need process to build a behavioral health hospital. I think that it has this certificate of need and this paperwork is over a $70 million project. And so that is a large investment in the Matsu Borough community. And so if members of the council would like to have a little bit more in-depth presentation, we are more than happy to partner with the hospital in providing that information. I believe they also will send out possible doing a tour of the current facility as well. So please feel free to reach out to myself or Dina at the hospital, and we can help set up a little bit more information. And also, if you want to add public comment and write a letter of support, we would highly encourage that type of activities, and would also want to thank you for that opportunity as well. So feel free to reach out if you guys have any questions or issues or concerns that we can try to answer, because that project is a huge benefit for the entire Matsu Borough in terms of the economic opportunities it will provide, especially with the services that it can offer to the borough, which is missing, and for the entire state of Alaska as well. So thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you to the Rotary. Good job.
Okay, we will now close persons to be heard and move on to the consent agenda. Madam Clerk, please read the items for approval under the consent agenda by title.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have regular meeting minutes, May 12th, 2025, special meeting minutes, May 21st, May 28th, 2025, regular meeting minutes, June 9th and June 23rd, 2025. We have two ordinances scheduled for public hearing on July 28th, 2025. The first is ordinance serial number 2520, amending the fiscal year 2026 budget by accepting and appropriating $1,718,175 from the Matanuska-Susitna Borough for upgrading the 911 telephone system at the MATCOM Dispatch Center. Secondly, ordinance serial number 2521, amending the fiscal year 2026 budget by appropriating $5,960 from the general fund balance to fund the increase in the Animal Care and Regulation Services Agreement between the City of Wasilla and the Matanuska-Susitna Borough for fiscal year 2026. Resolutions for approval this evening. The first resolution, serial number 2522, authorizing the mayor or the mayor's designee to enter into a purchase agreement to acquire approximately 10 acres of real property legally described as the southwest 1/4 of the southwest 1/4 of the northwest 1/4, section 13, township 17.
If you'd speak a little closer to the mic for those that are watching. Thanks. It's pretty fast. Thanks.
Township 17 North, Range 2 West, Seward Meridian, Palmer Recording District, 3rd Judicial District, State of Alaska, and is also known as 1815 South Foothills Boulevard, City of Wasilla, Alaska 99654, for an amount not to exceed $424,800 plus closing costs, not to exceed 5% of the purchase price for the runway expansion and runway protection zone for the Wasilla Municipal Airport expansion. Secondly, resolution serial number 2523, authorizing the mayor or the mayor's designee to enter into a purchase agreement to acquire approximately 5 acres of real property legally described as the west 1/2 of the
Holly Wells has joined.
Thank you, Holly. Go ahead, Jamie.
Thank you. 1/4
Thank you, Mayor.
of the southwest 1/4 of the northwest 1/4, section 13, township 17 North, range 2 West, Seward Meridian, Palmer Recording District, 3rd Judicial District, State of Alaska, and is also known as 4600 West Gardner Circle, City of Wasilla, Alaska 99654, for an amount not to exceed $112,000 plus closing costs, not to exceed 5% of the purchase price for the runway expansion and runway protection zone for the Wasilla Municipal Airport expansion. Lastly, resolution serial number 2524, authorizing the mayor or the mayor's designee to enter into a purchase agreement to acquire approximately 5 acres of real property legally described as the east 1/2 of the southeast 1/4 of the southwest 1/4 of the northeast 1/4, section 13, township 17 north, range 2 west, Seward Meridian, Palmer Recording District, 3rd Judicial District, State of Alaska, and is also known as 4530 West Gardner Circle, City of Wasilla, Alaska, 99654, for an amount not to exceed $81,300 plus closing costs not to exceed 5% of the purchase price for the runway expansion and runway protection zone for the Wasilla Municipal Airport expansion. 3 AMs for approval. AM number 2530, confirmation of the mayoral appointment of Dan Fleckenstein to the Parks and Recreation Commission. AM number 2531, contract award to Alaska Communication Services in the amount of $166,000 for information technology support at MACCOM. And lastly, AM number 2533, contract award to Denali Refuse Incorporated in the amount of $36,050 for solid waste disposal services.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as read?
Madam Mayor, I move we approve the consent agenda as read.
Is there a second?
Madam Mayor, I second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Velock and seconded by Councilmember Cottle to approve the consent agenda as read. Is there any objection? Hearing none, the consent agenda is approved. We will now go back to public hearing. There's one ordinance scheduled for public hearing. The ordinance was amended on July the 7th. Madam Clerk, please read ordinance serial number 2514 by title.
Thank you. That's repealing and reenacting Wasilla Municipal Code Title 16 Land Development Code to substantially change the uses permitted in each zoning district, the review, enforcement, and permitting procedures, the planned unit development, landscaping, parking, conditional use, and variance procedures, and the design standards imposed in the city.
The public hearing on ordinance serial number 25-14 is now open. Anyone wishing to testify, please come forward and begin by stating your first and last name. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Seeing no one, we will close public hearing on resolution ordinance serial number 2514. The main motion to adopt ordinance serial number 2514 is pending. Is there a discussion of further amendments to the ordinance?
Madam Mayor, I have no further amendments.
Madam Mayor?
Yes. Go ahead.
I move amendment ordinance to 2514, State College depicted and identified as amendment number 1, or A1, Exhibit A to the attorney memorandum. This is page 3 of 7 on the attorney memorandum.
Okay, would you please clarify, Councilmember Crafton?
So
You were
there's-
breaking up.
That's okay. So there's Exhibit A and Exhibit. In Exhibit A, this is, I believe, Amendment A1.
So, Madam Mayor, may I?
Yes, please.
Councilmember Crafton, if I may, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Just for the sake of the audience, then the amendment as recommended by the attorney would be to amend ordinance serial number 2514 to make all changes depicted and identified as amendment number A1 on Exhibit A in the attorney memorandum. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, is there a second?
Madam Mayor, I'll second that.
It has been moved by Councilmember Crafton, seconded by Councilmember Graham. Is there objection to the motion? Hearing none, then
Do you want to talk about maybe what A1 does? Or is
yes,
everybody
is
clear?
is everybody clear on what A1 does?
It's my understanding essentially we're just removing a definition of family when it comes to talking about different properties and the use of different properties.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, is there objection to the motion? The motion carries. Okay. Is there other?
Madam Mayor.
You're all done?
No, I got more, Madam Mayor.
More.
Oh. Okay. Mr. Crafton,
Thank you, Mayor.
state your motion.
I move to amend ordinance serial number 2514 to remove all words in the definition of landscaping bed after the word berms as depicted as Amendment A2 on Exhibit A of the Attorney Memorandum.
Graham seconds.
It has been moved by Councilmember Crafton, seconded by Councilmember Graham to remove landscaping beds. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, is there objection to the motion?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I cannot understand Ian.
Okay.
Can you restate it for me?
Yes, I'll have the clerk read it for you.
Councilmember Crafton moved to amend the ordinance by adopting Amendment A2, Holly, which is on page 4 of the attorney memo, A2. And what that does
Thank
is
you.
Changing the definition of landscaping bed.
Is there further discussion? Hearing none, is there objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion passes. Okay. Is there another motion?
Madam Mayor.
Mr. Crafton,
Thank you, Mayor. I move to amend ordinance serial number 2514 to incorporate all the formatting and non-substantive amendments proposed in Exhibit A to the memorandum from the city attorney dated July 1st, 2025. This is Amendment A5.
Is there a second?
Could you restate that, please?
it's on page 6 of 7, and it says that he moved to amend the ordinance to incorporate all formatting and non-substantive amendments proposed in Exhibit A to the memorandum from the city attorney dated July 1st, 2025.
Graham seconds.
The motion has been made by Crafton, seconded by Graham. Is there further discussion?
Madam Mayor.
Mr. Crafton?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to provide some clarification for people that might not understand this one. This is just more of a general amendment change because there are some formatting changes that need to be done or numbering or lettering changes in the ordinance, and so this just gives the power to the attorney to clarify those along with the clerk to correct those things for us.
Is there further discussion? Hearing none, is there objection to the motion? The motion passes. We done all the mothers, right? You can do this single triangle, yes, we talked about that. Is there other amendments?
Madam Mayor.
Mr. Crafton?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to move to the amendment I had personally submitted forward. So this is Exhibit B now.
Tell me which one it is.
Yep, so this one is page 20. I move on to strike line 615 through 617, removing the definition of pet on page 9, or on page 9, after the words domestic animal, add or pet. So this is my amendment number 3, is where I'm starting.
Okay, it's page 20 of 153. 615 and 617. It's page, okay, it's either page 20 of 153 or it's page 29 of 647. Okay.
Councilmember Crafton, are you adding the or pet to the definition of animal,
Correct.
which is on page 9? Of the
Line 277, I believe.
Yep, page 9 of the ordinance, or 177 of last week's packet. Line 277, correct?
Mr. Crafton, is it line 277? Page 9
So
of
we're-
153?
Correct. So we're looking on page 20, line 615 through 617, and I want to add the words or pet on page 9 of line 277.
Okay, is there a second to his amendment?
Graham seconds.
Okay, the motion has been made and seconded. Is there discussion?
Madam Mayor, I think this just clarifies that a pet and a domestic animal are essentially the same thing, so.
Okay, is there further discussion? Hearing none, is there objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion passes. Mr. Crafton, you got more?
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you. So this is my number 5 on page 27, line 830. I would like to change 45 to 30.
Councilmember Crafton, this is the city clerk. May I ask a clarifying question?
Yes.
So was your initial, so we're on the same page. Initially, it reads 45. Your initial amendment was 21, but in fact, do you want to strike 45 and insert 30?
Correct.
I thought we'd went over all of those.
That's on line 832, Madam Clerk, is that correct?
830.
Line 830.
27 of 152.
But I think the attorney had a few minutes.
Holly, do you have comments? Would you like to weigh in on this?
Madam Mayor, could a guy get a second first before we go into the attorney?
There is.
No second.
There's no second.
And we're moving on.
Okay. So that motion dies for lack of a second.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
page 66, line 1782. I move that I strike the change 1 to 2.
Repeat your, page, numbers and lines, please.
1 second here. So this one might actually be on a different page because of the way the numbering worked when Holly input some of this stuff. So I'm going to read it based on what Holly gave me, which is page 65, line 1782, change 1 to 2, and on line 1783, change is to are.
Councilmember Crafton, I think also to add an S to vehicle on line 1783. Did you already say that? I just,
No, I did, and
Okay.
I forgot that one. Thank you. That as well.
And for the record, once we get a second, this is Amendment B4.
Madam Mayor, I second.
Okay, the motion has been made by Councilmember Crafton, seconded by Councilmember Velock. Is there further discussion?
Madam Mayor.
Yes. Mr.
Quick,
Crafton?
just a reminder as to what this one is. This allows it if you have a home occupation, you can have 2 people on site. One person you're attending to, and your next customer can basically be waiting in line.
Okay, is there further discussion? Hearing none, is there objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion passes. Mr. Crafton?
Thank you, Mayor. This is going to be my number 8 on my sheet if you're tracking me. We're going to jump to page 82, and I'd like to move on page 82, lines 2302 and 20 through 2306. I would like to strike everything removing this provision.
Councilmember Crafton, this is the city clerk. May I clarify, you want to strike everything dealing with paving, correct?
Correct. Yeah, I'm seeing now the line numbers are not exactly the same again.
Thank you, sir.
And this will be.
Councilmember Crafton, could we add and renumber accordingly or something like that, just to each of these amendments that remove a entire subsection?
Wouldn't the other amendment we made allow you to do that already?
According to the clerk, yes.
Then that works for me.
Is there a second?
Do we have a second to this motion?
I'll second that.
Okay, it has been moved by Councilmember Crafton, seconded by Councilmember Schmidt. Is there further discussion?
Madam Mayor, quick recap.
Mr. Crafton?
Thank you, Mayor. This would just, basically this rule would state that if a business's road was paved, they would then have to go back and pave their parking lot. We're just saying you don't have to do that. We feel like it was a burden upon the business to potentially spend hundreds of thousands of dollars paving after a road had been paved.
Eric, do you have any weigh in on this?
Thank you, through the mayor. So, I guess it's the council's decision if there is a city desire to have businesses pave. The exclusions are for dwellings and such, but we could use the example of the dance studio up on the hill up here. During spring breakup, that is quite a muddy mess from tracking. And so if you think to businesses that maybe don't put as much attention into their driveways as you'd like to see. This, removing this would mean that there's less provision to make those changes. So for city infrastructure, if we started to see our infrastructure impacted because of non-paving, I think we have other avenues. This is more to the purview of the council on the general state of driving surfaces for businesses in the city.
Is there further discussion?
Mayor.
Eric, how, like you was talking about the parking lot up here and whatever, and I know it's a muddy mess and whatever, but how does it impact us on that roadway?
Yeah, so the impacts we see is increased need for sweeping. That tracking causes sedimentation collecting in our storm drains, so there's a stormwater impact to that. And then as it dries, there's an airborne dust component as well. So the reason the council has made it a priority to pave city roads is because of A, it reduces the amount of maintenance, it increases our air quality because of dust, and it reduces impacts to cars and the rest of driving surfaces. So the standard has been in the US to pave where we drive cars because of those impacts, and this would remove that requirement.
Mr. Graham?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So this paving requirement has been discussed several times over the years, and you know, in the 10 years that I've been on the council, I can only remember one business saying that they were going to move because they would have to pave their parking lot if they did some improvements there. I am sympathetic with the business owners here, but I'm also sympathetic with the needs of the city. I'm going to vote against this amendment, but I would vote in favor of an amendment that said, you know, the parking lot within 20 feet of any portion of the driveway needed to be paved. That way some of that stuff gets knocked off in the owner's land. Basically, the owner gets to keep his dirt there, and the city doesn't have to pick it up. But in this case, just deleting that whole section, I don't think makes sense. I mean, it adds to the deterioration of our roadways, the stuff that is carried out on the street. You know, I mean, we have enough striping issues as it is now, and we certainly, you know, are behind, you know, in our maintenance of the ditches, and partially because of the stuff that comes off of vehicles as they make those turns and stuff falls off the tires. So I'm going to vote against this amendment, but I would be in favor of something that places some of the responsibility with the property owner.
Is it Mr. Schmidt?
Yeah, so Eric, if you can answer this one maybe. So wasn't it discussed that there's aprons put in place when they do a new paving project, especially when there's areas of, you know, greater than 5 dwellings in an area, to prevent that erosion from going out into the road?
Yeah, so it kind of depends on what status or what the process is for the project. So for instance, I think in this code, it says if we're paving past a business, there will be a minimal apron that we might install. But I think what Mr. Graham's speaking to is more of a longer apron that pushes back that gravel asphalt connection. So we typically, if we're paving for the first time a road that has no asphalt, there are minimal aprons that are given. And I believe this code is to acknowledge that businesses have higher vehicle counts, and so you're going to see quicker deterioration on the shoulder of the road. And so the apron size that Mr. Graham referenced is not the typical size that we pave during the initial paving project.
So how much of an apron are we talking about? 10 feet, 12 feet?
For a normal paving project, it's 3 or 4 feet maximum.
Further discussion? Hearing none. Is there objection to the motion?
Graham objects.
City Clerk, roll call vote.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Cottle, how do you vote on Amendment B5?
No.
Councilmember Graham?
No.
Councilmember Schmidt,
Yes.
Councilmember Crafton,
Yes.
Councilmember Velock,
No.
Councilmember Rubio.
No.
Amendment number B5 fails with Councilmember Schmidt, Crafton in support, Cottle, Graham, Velock, and Rubio opposed. So 2-4.
Okay, Mr. Crafton, your next one.
Mr. Graham, did you want to put forward an amendment on this section first?
Okay,
I'll wait until I have some time to write it out. And then, but we should continue with what we're doing here, and then we can come back to this if that's all right, Mr. Crafton.
Okay. Okay, moving on to page 111 of 152.
okay, what is your line number?
So this is amendment number 13 on my paper, if you're following. So, Madam Mayor, I'd like to strike everything from 3119 to line 3122.
Okay, is there a second?
Madam Mayor, prior to offering a second, we're dealing with three different versions here, so if we could talk about, are we talking about C1 through C2 being deleted? What are we talking about here? Because the line numbers that he's giving don't match up with my copy here.
This is just striking number 2 trees, which would be C2, Mr. Graham.
Thank you. Graham will second that.
Okay, the motion has been made and seconded. Is there further discussion?
Madam Mayor, may I clarify what
Yes.
this does? So this is basically stating for every 100 lineal feet roadway you have as a residential property, you have to have at least one tree. Basically, there's a provision just prior to this that says you can't clear cut your lot. I think that does the job of what we're looking for here. We want people clear cutting it. Whether that's in the front or backyard, I think is irrelevant. Most people are going to put trees in. So I just think this is a little excessive on residential lots, basically.
Is there further discussion? Eric, want to weigh in?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think this is an important consideration for the council in that the code is looking to have a minimum number of trees in the front yard. So if you think about the experience driving down a residential street, having a minimum requirement of trees keeps that built and natural environment interface that we talked about when we began this process more than a year ago. So it wouldn't affect Public Works as much as I think it's the overview of what the council wants to see with these planning procedures for the community as a whole.
Acting Planner Nygaard, do you want to weigh in on this?
Thank you, Mayor. From a planning perspective, this is pretty minuscule. We haven't had anybody that has brought to our attention a burden of having one tree. So I would go back to what Public Works Director said, is it just depends on the curb appeal that the council would like to see.
Okay, thank you. Further discussion? Hearing none, is there objection to the motion?
Madam Mayor, I object.
Okay, Madam Clerk, roll call.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Graham.
No.
Councilmember Schmidt.
Yes.
Councilmember Crafton.
Yes.
Councilmember Velock.
No.
Councilmember Rubio.
No.
Councilmember Cottle.
No.
Amendment number B6, striking that portion fails with Schmidt and Crafton in support, Cottle, Graham, Velock, and Rubio opposed.
Okay, Mr. Crafton, carry on.
One moment. Madam Mayor,
Yes.
on page 118, line 3356, I would like to change 30 to 15.
Okay. Okay, is there a second? Hearing none, the motion fails.
So, unless objection is raised, I'm not even going to consider that. The next one would be B7.
Okay. What page are you?
Whatever, we do that one.
Oh. Okay, Mr. Crafton.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to jump a bit here to, this is my number 21, but on page 126.
Okay, page 126, line 3591, is that correct?
No, this is going to be on line 3598.
Okay, on page 127.
No, 126. On line 3598, strike the word present and.
Councilmember Crafton, we're going to slow down just a smidge here if I may. This would be like page number 126 of the ordinance, or 288 of the 7th packet, subsection E, which begins on line 3598. And Councilmember Crafton, the strike through within the packet is present and qualified to vote at the hearing. Is that what you are proposing to strike?
No. So after the discussion with the council and the attorney, we determined that because of qualification purposes, it could come across that there are times where it's less members than what the majority is. And so what we determined was that basically saying it doesn't matter if they're present or not, but we want to only reference when they're qualified to vote. So what the discussion was, we would strike the word present and, so it would receive approval of the conditional use shall require the affirmative vote of the majority members of the commission qualified to vote at the meeting.
At the hearing.
Graham seconds.
The motion has been made and seconded. Is there further discussion? Holly, you want to weigh in on this?
Sure. I mean, I think that's fine. That's certainly a proper amendment and a one of the options that council has in configuring sort of the quasi-judicial hearing process. The original language was designed to ensure that the Planning Commission always had enough members to move forward. You know, we have one hearing officer for many of our quasi-judicial proceedings. So as written, it would allow a quasi-judicial hearing, so a hearing on any of the permits, everything but a rezone could go forward so long as you had really up to one, your planning commissioner who showed up and was there to hear it. So if there were planning commissioners that had a conflict of interest or who were not present at a hearing that was continued to the next meeting, that wouldn't prevent the applicant from getting a decision issued so they could move forward. It's a way of keeping things always moving forward when you have a small commission. But the proposed amendment works. That also works. It just means that they will have to have a majority of all members who are qualified. So it solves the problem of at least excluding members that are conflicted out or otherwise unqualified. Is that helpful, Mayor?
Yes, thank you. Is there further discussion? Mark? Okay, hearing none. Is there objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion passes. Mr. Crafton?
Madam Mayor, I believe that's all the changes that I wanted to make.
All right. Go back to your wife. Are there further amendments?
Madam Mayor,
Mr. Gray?
so at our previous meeting, we discussed amendment number A4, which is on page 5 of the attorney's memo. If anybody's looking at that. And there were some things that we talked about. So at this time, I move to amend ordinance 2514 to make all changes depicted and identified as amendment number A4 on Exhibit A to the attorney memorandum dated July 1st, 2025, related to short-term rentals, with the exception of items 2 and 5.
We've already done 2.
So correct me if I'm wrong.
If we didn't
Mrs.
already
City
make that
Clerk.
amendment, I need to make sure that it's in there, but I just show that we talked about it, but we didn't make the amendment.
Attorney Wells, are you online?
Yes, I thought that amendment passed with those same exceptions, Councilmember Graham.
Okay,
I believe the
if
short-term
it already
rental.
passed, I don't need to look at that.
So correct me if I'm wrong, just for the record. And Councilmember Crafton, what passed was 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and 7.
I thought it was every except 5. I remember I made the initial motion. Mr. Graham tried to amend it and make sure number 2 did not pass and be removed, but I believe he failed to get a second, and so we ended up voting on it, and I want to say it was a unanimous vote that we passed basically everything except 5.
That's what I mean. So what was passed was 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 7. Correct? Yep, we're getting a thumbs up.
Okay. Are there further amendments?
Madam Mayor,
Mr. Gray?
I think I've lost my place here. On page 83 of 153, which is in my packet, and I'll give this to the clerk so she can figure out exactly what it says here regarding the paving. I had a bookmark in here and I can't find it. Do we remember what, I don't know what line that was. But anyway, the clerk will find it. So So I requested 5-minute recess.
Okay, we have a 5-minute recess. 7:05, we'll return at 7:10.
16.65.020, number E2, to read as the clerk shall read here.
Okay. So this is E2 paving. After a roadway is paved, the first 40 feet of the aisles and driveways adjacent to the roadway shall be paved or have concrete or another durable surface approved by the planner applied within 12 months of the date of pavement, which is what it currently reads. The planner shall determine the date of pavement if there is a dispute regarding that date. Residential uses of less than 5 dwelling units and temporary uses are not subject to this subsection. Is that correct?
Okay, Mr. Graham has made the motion. Is there a second?
Yes, I'll second that.
And Mr. Schmidt has seconded. Is there more discussion? Hearing none, is there objection to the motion?
Madam Mayor?
Madam Mayor, can I ask where we got the 40 feet from?
I can answer that.
Okay, Mr. Graham.
So the 40 feet comes essentially as twice the length of a standard vehicle. Most standard vehicles are between 18 and 22 feet. Obviously, there's a lot of smaller vehicles out there, but here in Wasilla, we tend to like things a little bit bigger, but that would be twice the length of a vehicle. So that would be, 3 or 4 rotations of the tires to knock the stuff out of the treads and leave it on the owner's property where it came from.
Okay, further discussion.
Madam Mayor?
Mr. Crafton.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I don't particularly like this because I still think there's a bit of a burden on the owner of the property for the sake of dirt on our roads. I thought removing the provision as a whole was pretty common sense, since to me this is just a burden on our businesses here. So, but to me it's better than requiring them to pave the entire thing. So I would vote in favor of this, strictly for the fact that it at least is less work that has to be done than paving their entire property or entire parking lot.
Is there further discussion? Hearing none, is there objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion passes. Is there any further amendments?
Madam Mayor?
Mr. Crafton.
Thank you. I apologize. I found 2 more in all the jumping around that we did here. So this one is on page 83 of 152.
Okay.
And starting on line 2329, I wanted to add the words, snow may not be pushed, placed, or stored in a right-of-way or site triangle.
Could you repeat that, please, Mr. Crafton?
Yes. So snow may not be pushed, placed, or stored in a right-of-way or site triangle. And this is on Exhibit B. You'll see where the attorney had inserted that for us.
Graham seconds.
The motion has been made and seconded. Is there further discussion? Hearing none. Eric, do you have weighing in?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. We very much support this for safety during our winter times and making sure that snow is stored in the right spot. So very supportive of this amendment.
Thank you. Further discussion? Hearing none. Is there objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion passes. Is there another amendment?
Madam Mayor?
Mr. Crafton.
Thank you, Mayor. So this one is on page 107. And it's my number 11 if you get my personal amendments. On page 107, starting on line 2985, strike everything from native trees to line 2989, where it ends at as 3 trees.
Okay, is there a second to the motion?
Madam Mayor, I second.
Okay, the motion has been made and seconded. Is there further discussion?
Can you restate that, please, so I can see the whole?
It's page 107 of 152. It's line 2985 through 2989.
Starting with the words native trees, is that correct?
Native trees shall be equal to or greater than.
Thank you.
And end where it says be credited as 3 trees. Okay. Is there a second? Oh, did she? Sorry. You're making me think too long.
What's the effect?
Okay, is there further discussion?
Madam
Ms.
Mayor,
Cotton.
could we have planning weigh in on this?
We can?
Through the mayor to Councilmember Cottle, although in theory it sounds very good, I think the resources in planning could be used a little bit better. We don't always have the staff that's available to go out with a yardstick, a measuring stick, and do the appropriate measurements.
Okay, is there further discussion? Hearing none, is there objection to the motion? And the motion carries, hearing no objection. Mr. Crafton?
That was all the amendments for me, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Is there any more amendments? Hearing none, are we ready to vote on 25-14?
Madam Mayor.
Mr. Crafton?
Thank you, Mayor. Before we vote, I just want to state that I think this is leagues better than where we were previously with Title 16. And while it might not be my most ideal one, obviously I had a lot of amendments, I think we can do a lot better. But I think for right now, this is going to give a better utilization of what our city wants. I think it's going to allow more business growth in the city and more people to come in here. And I think the next step for us is to get back our comprehensive development plan, get some good feedback, and then really just start having our planning commission tackle various sections of that feedback and provide us as recommendations of what the public wanted to change. So I think this is a great product. I'm all in favor of it, as even though I'd prefer some additional amendments, but I think we're in a great place now.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Mayor.
Mr. Graham?
To add to Mr. Crafton's comments, for those that are watching, and it sounds like we have had a fairly decent audience watching, this essentially is phase 1 of Title 16 to be followed up by further refining and reducing the regulations over the next year, year and a half. So this isn't, as Mr. Crafton pointed out, this isn't the end product. This is an intermediate product, which is substantially better than the existing product.
Thank you. Madam Clerk? please take a roll call vote on ordinance serial number 2514.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Crafton.
I'm so excited to say yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Velock.
Yes.
Councilmember Rubio.
Yes, yes.
Councilmember Cottle.
Yes.
Councilmember Graham.
Yes.
Councilmember Schmidt.
Yes.
Congratulations. Ordinance hearing number 2514 as amended passes unanimously.
Thank you, council. We've waited a long time to get this. So now we are,
Madam Mayor,
yes, Mr. Crafton.
may I be excused?
Yes, you can be excused.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Have you got a baby yet?
Ian Crafton.
Has left.
He must not have it.
Wouldn't even talk to me now. Imagine that. Okay, we are on to, there's no unfinished business. We are on to new business, and there is 2 resolutions. Madam Clerk, please read the first resolution by title.
Thank you. This is resolution serial number 2521, approving and waiving protest for the relocation and transfer of beverage dispensary license number 3888 to J&L Enterprises Incorporated, doing business as Señor Taco Mexican Grill for operation within the city of Wasilla.
Okay, Madam Planning Clerk, acting, or Ted, our Finance Director.
Do you want a motion to adopt first? or do you
Okay,
want
I
to-
need a motion to adopt first.
Madam Mayor, I move resolution serial 2521.
Is there a second?
Madam Mayor, I second.
It has been moved and seconded by Councilmember Graham and Councilmember Cottle. Is there discussion? Now, CFO Leonard, would you please?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Oops. Oh, have to be close. Madam Mayor, this resolution is requesting the council to approve the application to transfer a alcohol license from outside of the city to the city. This is a unique situation that's happened where one of the parties has notified the AMCO board and also the city of Wasilla that he would like to pull out of this application. But as you've seen we've seen in the communication with the AMCO board, that since both parties are not in agreement to stop the transfer, that it will go to the board on the 16th. So our belief is that when we reviewed the application, that it met our requirements. So staff is still recommending that we approve the application or the transfer, because we're only approving the transfer from outside to inside the city, and then let the alcohol AMCO make the final decision at the end. And we're available to any questions from the council.
Mr. Graham?
So, just for clarity, this is a beverage dispensary license, so this is a full pour, what used to be called a full pour license that covers spirits, beer and wine, is that correct?
Yes, it's my understanding that is correct.
Thank you.
Through Madam Mayor.
Is there further discussion? Hearing none, is there objection to the motion? Hearing none, motion passes. Madam Clerk, second resolution, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That's resolution serial number 2525, authorizing reimbursement payment to Sam and Rebecca Gardner in an amount not to exceed $75,000 for relocation costs associated with the purchase of property at 1815 South Foothills Boulevard, Wasilla, Alaska, 99654, related to the airport runway expansion.
Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
Madam Mayor, I move resolution serial 2525.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
It has been, the motion has been made by Councilmember Graham and seconded by Councilmember Mark Schmidt. That's who, I know. Give me a break here. Anyway, Councilmember Mark Schmidt. Is there further discussion?
Madam Mayor. So, the council, the reason I pulled this one is, having a background in accounting, but not government accounting, I found it odd that the $75,000 would not essentially be rolled into the cost of the property. I mean, as a business, you could take the $75,000 as an immediate expense, or you could capitalize it and then depreciate it over time, or, use that for cost recovery when it's sold. But as a government entity, I have no idea why we would not have just included this in the cost of the property. And this is the only one where we have specifically talked about relocation costs. If you guys could talk about that, that would be great.
Eric?
Yeah, through the mayor, thank you. So, you're right, it is a little bit confusing looking. The reason it came down to this was the way that the title company needed to hold the escrow money. And so, without a defined amount known at closing, they were not able to hold it as an escrow. So, we had the agreed upon sale price for the property to go through the FAA reimbursement document, which is included in the packet. They will be reimbursed as they submit the qualified receipts. And that was not something that the title company could handle as a separate action, if you will. And so we're formalizing the agreement with the Gardners and our property acquisition team that as they submit those reimbursements, we'll be able to reimburse them directly. But we had to leave the closing company out because of the way that they handle the escrow monies. So that's why you see it in two motions, basically.
Thank you very much. It brings a lot of clarity to my mind where there none existed prior. Thank you.
Yeah, we want to know where the money's going. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, is there objection to the motion? Hearing none, motion passes. We are now at communications. Madam Clerk, please read the items by title.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Item number 2511, monthly financial reports for the period ending April 30th, 2025, and Planning Commission meeting minutes June 10, 2025.
Okay, thank you. We are now at audience comments, which is a time for members of the public to share their views with the council. This is not a question and answer period or a time for dialogue. Speakers may be referred to administration, or issues raised may be taken under advisement by the council or administration. Is there anyone? Jeannie, please come up and state your first and last name, and you have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Council. Jeannie Trzynski, President, Friends of Wasilla Public Library. First, I want to say I left town for a month and was hoping I would never hear Title 16 uttered again. But I just want to really compliment you. I mean, I've been at a lot of meetings over the last, I don't know how long you've been talking about this. It feels like a year, but you've done a lot of really thorough work on it. And the staff, Holly has just done a tremendous amount of work on it. So thank you for caring enough about the city to really pay attention to all this minutia. It really does matter. As a person who's been attending these meetings regularly since 2001. So I want to say a couple things about the library. The Friends have had a priority to really ask for hours that the library is open to be an increased for about 5 years, but we've really been not asking that because we understand that we have to have more staff to be open more hours. It's kind of this weird thing, but you need people right there to work if you're going to have the library open more. And at the same time, it's this great conundrum because there's no space for more staff right now. So we really hope that you will consider supporting this project to expand the staff work area. This September will be 9 years since we've been in that building, and it's really hard to believe that much time has gone by. We have people come to our concerts, and they are first-time attendees at the library, and they say, this building is so beautiful. How new is it? And it's like, it's 9 years old, and they're like, what? So that's another compliment, I think, to the city and the staff at the library, that it's so well taken care of, that it just still looks and feels brand new. We have, as you can imagine, so much going on in the summer. Summer reading is always really busy. Lots of people reading, lots of activities going on. We're coming up on our, I don't know how many annual, 12th or something annual spelling bee, hotly contested event for the adults in the summer. We just have a lot of fun things going on. The Friends, we have to have a couple things that we do off-site in the summer just because there isn't enough space and the space is so in demand. So our current art class for seniors 55 and older, we're having at WASI. And we just started last week, and we're doing watercolor, and people are just really enthusiastic again. I know Mayor Ledford hears from a lot of our artists who are like, why can't there be more classes? And it's like, because it's a lot of work. But it's just, this is our third class, and it's just been so well received and so enthusiastically received and really in demand. This fall in September, we're going to do our fourth class, and we're going to try to run 2 sessions of it. We limit it to 15 artists at a time because it's kind of hard to really get good instruction if you have too many people in an art class. So we're going to try to do 2 back-to-back sessions with charcoal drawing starting in September for our fourth class. And then this summer, we've also been having these big demands from people in book club that we usually take off the summer from book club because, again, the space is just at a premium with summer reading. So we're going to meet at the Matsu family on August 4th, and we're going to discuss the book, The Only Woman in the Room, by Marie Benedict. And it's a fun problem that people want more and more things from the library, but at the same time, we have just limited space to do all these things. So lots of great things going on. We really appreciate your support. And again, thank you for all that you all do. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeannie. Okay, anyone else? Okay, I will close public comment and bring it back to the dais. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So candidate filing period for our local election on October 7th. Is July 21st. Next Monday starts, and it closes on August 1st. Candidate filing packets will be available online and from my office day after tomorrow, July 16th. We have 3 seats open on the City Council. 1 seat has a 1-year term, and then 2 of the seats are 3-year terms. So if you're interested in serving your community, come and see us. And then we'll see you all here next regular meeting, July 28th. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Madam Attorney. I think she's gone. Councilmember Cottle. Hey, Holly.
Yeah.
Do you have a comment?
Oh, yes, only congratulations to council. I know that was a lot of work on Title 16, so I just wanted to say I was very impressed with everything council and the Planning Commission did. Otherwise, no comments, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Now, Councilmember Cottle.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I am so happy that we have passed Title 16. I no longer need to wake up in the middle of the night with things going through my head that we've talked about, worked on, need to work on, things like that. And hopefully we will all sleep better now for a while. I do have a question from the clerk. Will we all get a copy of the total final piece that we can get rid of a lot of the stuff in our...
We're adopted, so yes, you can get rid of it. Okay. I have it if you ever need it.
Thank you. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Councilmember Vlock.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And yeah, I want to congratulate the council and Holly, thank you for all your hard work and counsel. It was painful at times and, but it's going to be such an improvement. And phase two, I think phase two will be a little easier, I think. And I think the fine tuning will be great for our local businesses. And Jeannie, I do agree with you on the library. I am one who does enjoy the library and taking my grandkids and I have shown up and it's closed. And so it is a beautiful building. It's got the good vibes. It's just it's an awesome place to go when you got kids and stuff. So I am in favor of that. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Crafton, it was excused. Councilmember Rubio.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Awesome job, team. You guys did amazing. I'm so happy that we did that. And that is all I have tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Graham.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Let me add my congratulations and thanks to the council members, to the staff, to the public for sticking with us for so long. It's been a year and a half since we started talking about this, and you know, the planning commission's involved, the administration's involved, the city council's involved. You know, many long and less than exciting meetings, but you know, hammering through the details. And I really appreciate the fact that we stuck to the details and we didn't get into, you know, personalities and personal interests and that sort of thing. And it really reflects well on the city of Wasilla and on the council and on the staff here. So, so speaking of reflecting well on the city of Wasilla, I do have a couple of questions about Palmer, because whenever we compare ourselves to Palmer, we always look good. But these are questions. These are questions that have to do with things going on in Palmer that are going to affect us here in Wasilla. Number one, there was a meeting late last week where Palmer was talking about the airport. Right now, they're in a conflict between the airport and the golf course, and that going on. And I noticed the library in Palmer, the old library in Palmer, is being demolished. So if anybody on the staff has any input on, you know, when the additional burden on our library is going to be lifted a little bit, and how the changes that may or may not be going on at the Palmer Airport are going to affect us, I would appreciate that input, and I yield the floor. Thank you.
Eric.
Through the mayor, thank you. So Councilmember Graham, your question about the golf course and the airport. So the Palmer Golf Course has been on some land that the FAA helped the city buy many years ago. It's been on their radar, if you will, for quite a while. And my understanding is that the FAA has worked with Palmer to come up with a resolution date. The FAA is in the business of supporting airport growth, but it's not in their mandate to have involvement in golf courses. And so they worked out a way that they will transition that property back to airport usage, and they've talked about the lack of developable lots they have on site. So this is a kind of a pathway forward to meet the FAA's expectation that the land that they've helped purchase is used for airports. Much like the land that we've purchased with council support, we should not go put golf courses on that. It should remain for aviation use, and we'll make sure that that happens on our end. The question about the library, they're still in the design development. They're working through their approvals on what size and what scale. From my history with building construction, it's going to be at least a couple years before that work is done. They have to finalize those design documents, get it out to bid. Construction is always a longer process than you think, so I would suspect that the impacts that we see will at our library will be in the years ahead still. And we're expecting the valley to grow as well, and we have an outstanding existing library. So I think that all the forecasts that you've heard tonight about the use at our library is going to continue for the foreseeable future.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Have a wonderful evening.
Councilmember Schmidt.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to thank all the I guess the department managers over here for all your input. I know it must be tough being away from all your families and stuff you like to do in the evenings, but I really appreciate all the input. I've gotten a lot out of it to make my decisions on what we're doing up here. I want to thank everyone up here as well. I think it's been very easily transforming me into getting going on this with all your help. So I want to appreciate everyone.
All right, thank you. I can't tell you how relieved I am. When I first took this seat, nobody wanted to come to the planning commission or even to the planner's office. And if they caught you in the grocery store or anywhere else, you got to find out why for sometimes an hour. So I was like, okay, we got to do something. And when we discussed it with the team and whatever and stuff, you know, it was like, oh, this is a big lift. And I'm like, but we got to do this. So tonight, we done it. And with the help of the council and stuff, I think we've got a good product. And I think that, yeah, there's going to be things that we change because you know what? That code book is a living, breathing document. And we grow all the time. And as we continue to grow, our regulations and stuff has to be changed to meet the growth and the demand of the citizens. So we've done a good job. I appreciate all of you guys, all the hard work you've put in and whatever, the long hours and stuff. But to me, it goes to say, you know, you've heard the advertisement, we've come a long way, baby. That's what I think about Title 16. So thank you all so much. And the 4th of July parade, Scott, thank you. Mayor's Picnic was great. David, thank you. To Sunrise Rotary, thanks for letting me hang out with you guys because I love to do that, you know. Scott said I was the only mess up that whole day because he couldn't find me. You know, I was dishing out coleslaw with a little bitty spoon. But it was great. I had a great time. The parade was great. Crystal, have we done GO to find out what we think about how many people? Eric? Scott, whoever does that?
No, but we're meeting with Placer tomorrow.
Oh, okay,
Yep,
good.
So it takes about 3 days for them to collate the data, and we'll give you the total numbers of the traffic
Yeah.
that came here for it.
Cool. All right. Thank you all very much, and thank you to the directors. I appreciate the job you guys do that keeps me out of trouble and out of jail because I don't look good in orange. So with that, I will adjourn the meeting at 7:50.
Picnic, I waited till tonight.
Has left.
Oh, for
Yes.
Has left.